Hey guys, Matt Money here. Still stuck in this box. Tyler! Come on, man. I really don't want to keep begging you to... What do you mean you broke your wrist? What? Alright, fine. Well, damn, it's kind of cramped in here. And we need to get out of here before we can actually start the video and get back on track, so... Here, just give me a minute. I'm going to place a call. Use my headphones real quick.
9-1, Klon, what's your emergency?
Yeah, so I'm stuck in this box. Hey guys, Matt Money here, for real this time, and welcome back to another installment of Plastic Instruments Monthly, now with 90% less cardboard boxes. For real though, we've got quite the video ahead of us here, a lot of song releases to get to. With summer really coming to a close now and people settling back into the rhythms of work and school, here's what the artist scene has been cooking up. Because I'm a perfect, flawless genius who could never, ever forget to mention releases, we're going to start by going over some drops I missed from earlier in the year. Let's start with a big one, Heart Piercer 5. This honest-to-God mega collab is, admittedly, a bit all over the place. Some sections riff pretty heavily on Soulless, but others exhibit far more originality and personality, at least in my opinion. Still, could totally be fun for plenty of you to jump in, check out the section, and see what's up. Moving on, there's Time Flies by Stellaro, a genuinely amazing 3.5-minute track with just the right blend of tapping patterns in the chart and super groovy, awesome production in the audio. In a bit of a similar vein, there's Striking Beams from Collaggio, an atmospheric track that is focused on chord strumming and chord tech, like you'd probably expect from Collaggio. And finally, there's DNA 2 Uber Solo by Sydney. The title really says it all, and anything it doesn't say definitely gets said by the composition and production. Great work, Sydney. With those stragglers from months prior out of the way, let's get to the drops from July, since this was missing from last month's video. It was a pretty active month all around, lots of releases, so let's jump straight in. We'll start with our artists who dropped multiple times in the month, leading with Wasted CH, and their releases I Can't Wait for Fall and Ashtray. The former of these takes an ambient rock-oriented type of sound, and frankly, I think it does a great job. The latter, on the other hand, sticks to more of an electronic feel, but still channels that ambient atmospheric feeling that Wasted does in a lot of their tracks. Both songs, though, definitely offer their challenges as far as tapping is concerned. Let's check out NATO next, who dropped a song called The Prophecy and an entire separate EP called My Own Personal Spirit. The first of these is fairly straightforward, your typical NATO rock outing. And just to be clear, that is far from a bad thing. The chart is fairly laid back, meaning this is a great one for beginner players or those just looking for something casual to pop in and play. The EP, on the other hand, I gotta say, I'm a big fan. It's more experimental, even by NATO's own admission, with seemingly some story between the songs acting as connective tissue to hold the whole project together. Excellent work, NATO, overall. This one is in my music rotation now. The last artist to multi-drop back in July was the ever-enigmatic Random Household Object, with Kami Ad Infinitum and a hyperjazz remix of Battery Acid by Rebby Rompin. I always find that RHO is really able to bring the weirdness in a super fun and lighthearted way, and these two definitely deliver. Kami Ad Infinitum has this bright, slightly otherworldly sound, but in contrast, Battery Acid has this intense, jazzy type of feel with a surprising amount of drive. Until the genre starts shifting around close to a minute in. It even does the genre shifting later into the track too. Overall, there's plenty of fun to be had here with these two songs. Would recommend checking them out. With these multi-drops out of the way, let's pick up the pace a little. 7 different artists dropped single charts in July. We got South, Chaos CH, some new names with Victor Severo and A Human Being CH, Collaggio, 3, and Thinger Thing. Going in order of artists here, we have Life Is Not Too Fair Sometimes, a very Dark Caves of Lulno type track that clearly speaks to some frustration. I Feel Good.mp3 pushes the difficulty envelope the way one would expect of a Chaos chart, delivering that kind of insane tapping that I know some people out there really love. Morisco in Wonderland Part 1, which goes into some interesting places during its 4-minute runtime, sometimes dropping in some super nasty distorted guitars, really crank the heaviness up. Colored Glass is a nice little song, bringing the length down from our previous track, but offering both an accurate hard chart that is accurate to the audio and an overcharted expert chart. Something Vapid, in contrast, brings the intensity of the audio and the chart way up, in typical Collagio fashion. It brings an emphasis on chord tech in the chart and stuttery goodness in the audio. Failed Experiment by 3 is odd in all the best ways. Has a pixel art chart preview, super weird genre bending throughout, interesting instrumentation, and a nice duration of a full 7 minutes to bring it all together. Which brings us to Thing or Not, a 500 subscriber special for... It seems recently Thinger's channel was suspended for, quote, content that promotes spam, scams, and other deceptive practices? If y'all want to go help make some noise regarding that and help her get the channel back, then y'all know where to go. Really unfortunate, man. That sucks. Which, that behind us, brings us to August. A much shorter list here, with only 4 artists dropping in the month. I wasn't kidding when I mentioned returning to work in school. We'll begin with Wasted CH, the only one to drop multiple times. Polaroid, Be and Let Be, and Ecstasy make up his releases for the month. Going in order, Polaroid has this great, somber energy right out the gate that persists throughout the whole song, even as it ramps up. Just be sure not to break your fingers on some of these patterns. Be and Let Be is, quote, inspired by songs like Ace Trumpets and Let God Sort 'Em Out. Obviously isn't up to par with a fucking Pharrell beat, but I think it's pretty okay, end quote. And it also offers a similar type of tapping challenge as Polaroid. Finally, Ecstasy trades the somber notes of the previous songs for something much more pushy and energetic, but still remains as a potential finger breaker. Catching back up with 3 here for a quick one, it's a remake of Celtic Wisdom 2. Not a whole lot to really say here, if I'm honest, but it's always nice to see old songs getting a facelift. We can catch up with Chaos CH again, too, with their release, Did I Tell You That I Miss You V Chaos? And V Chaos is definitely right. This 2.5-minute chart manages to pack more tapping and extended sustained trickery than I can quickly summarize in a sentence or two. I'm not exactly a fan of Adore, the original artist of the song. I couldn't tell you much about them, but I know damn well that plenty of people out there are, so if that sounds like you, then maybe give this chart a try. And don't worry, it comes with hard difficulty as well, so no stress. Wrapping up everything here today is Random Household Object with their song Electromagnetic Wave Assisted Directional High Intensity Photon Discharge Device. Ewadhepud? Yeah. Might be the longest song title we've had on one of these videos. Regardless, clocking in at 4.5 minutes, this fairly upbeat and bright track doesn't push the difficulty too hard, thank God. Some tapping and some chord tech. Except, oh god, the last minute or so, when RHO takes the gloves fully off and delivers a teleporting and sliding monstrosity that's definitely way beyond my pay grade as a player. And that covers it for our releases. Apologies for the weirdness regarding video format over the last few months. Circumstance keeps finding new ways to screw us all over here on the team. But hey, that's in the rear view now, so let's go over some quick things before I hand the segment off. First, with only a few months left in the year, a scary thought if there ever was one, here's a reminder that CTP17 The Leviathan is still looking for new artists to come in with their charts. If that interests you, the link to the server will be down below in the description. We are hoping to make a New Year's 2026 release. Secondly, we here at the PIM Crew are looking for potential new recruits to assist in research, especially console stuff. If that sounds interesting, reach out to MTN or myself on Discord and tell us what you got. As always, links to the chart downloads will be down in the description below. Thank you all so much. This is Matt Money, signing off.
What up, everyone? My name is MattJJ_, and I'm here to take you through the accomplishments for August. As always, it's been a crazy month, so without further ado, let's jump straight in. Before we begin though, we do need to mention an FC from Batata that we missed in July, that being Offered Eruption at 120% speed. This one needs a pretty good level of quint speed to get down, and is very impressive, so we're sorry we missed it. On that note, let's continue with the ones he got in August. At the start of the month, he FC'd the hard chart of Alex Jones VGH, which has slower quints but is still nothing to scoff at. He also finally FC'd the Wheelation after numerous chokes, and this one is definitely worth the watch. Star of the month was of course Bender GH, who had one of the craziest runs I think we've ever seen. He started off with a Hanukkah O Hanukkah Tech FC, which is an odd choice for the middle of August, but whatever. He then went on to demolish some strumming FCs, and I truly do mean demolish, with a ton of speed ups. He got the Egoism at 105% speed, which is a speed record, Megalomania Plus Plus at 110% speed, Rewind Outro at 170% speed, Soldier Side at 110% speed, and Leather Wings at 140. What makes these all the more insane is that most of them were done in the span of a week, including the mini-tages we'll mention later. Absolutely outstanding work. Another person that teched Hanukkah this month was William CH, already back from his break from uploads, a very welcome return. He also nabbed a tech of Astro Sexy right at the end of the month, a very fun tapping song we've been seeing a lot of lately. Just Joshin had another killer month as per usual, getting the first ever Dashed Hopes 3 FC to start his month off, one that he sniped from Jared no less, before finally becoming the latest person to take down the behemoth that is Prevail. He now joins some of the most revered names in Clone Hero, cementing himself as one of the very best, an insane feat given that he was an unknown just a few short months ago. Golden Plate is back on his space race grind again, this time managing to piss out not only a 2-part full speed tech, but a -4 and then a -2 on the same day. The skill this man has needs to be studied, and I can't wait to see what happens in the space race next. Randy, who somehow already hasn't forgotten his YouTube password, had a monumental 3 uploads in August. He unvaulted an FC of Glorious Crown Remix, a fretting nightmare that is exactly in his wheelhouse, before giving us FCs of Rhythm in My Head by Katamori and Fatal Tragedy by Dream Theater at 175% speed, one that he finally got after an insane 3 years of attempts. And speaking of Dream Theater, we have a couple drum FCs from Armchair Sum this month, starting with an FC of As I Am at 130% speed. This one is one of my favourite Dream Theater songs of all time and is well worth the watch. He also got a co-op FC with our drum goat Chris Body, with the pair FCing Vicarious by Tool, which is probably Tool's best album opener and another one well worth watching. Monkers is back again with another crazy month, starting off with an FC of Deceiving Paradise, before FCing Oxy 6 Abridged the same day. He then went on to remind us why he's one of the best core tech players in the world, with a 100% overstrum on Helibup. Yes, you heard that right. The second ever Helidox Tech FC is just around the corner. Elusive also had a crazy month, getting 3 console song speedups for August. He FC'd Anything by an Endless Sporadic at 165 earlier in the month, before moving on to If You Want Peace, Prepare for War by Children of Bodom at 175. He then closed off the month with Institutionalized by Suicidal Tendencies at 220% speed, a bonkers speed to FC something easy, let alone this. Really good shit, dude. The Cleanliness Goat Megapeng is also back again with 2 Yarg Tech FCs, these being Polyplex by Sydney 600 and Celtic Wisdom 3 by 3. Both of these would be impressive enough on Clone Hero, but being done on Yarg's default engine makes them all the more special, especially since the latter is a first ever. Now let's do our usual quickfire round of single accomplishments for the month. Starting off, Bluey got an FC of Lockeen, one that they decided to get after using the song as a warm-up and realising they'd never FC'd it before. Ryansba took out a song from the Oos preview pack with Ivy by Frank Ocean, a very fun tappy chart. Luna got a tech FC of the hard chart of Biohazard. Amber Sky got an FC of I Love Horses, which she did without needing to elbow strum either. Rakshi Boy gave us his typical low ghost fare with an FC of Technotitlan by Edu Falashi with only 1 ghost. Bingus finally FC'd Burn at 125% speed, a very popular chart to do speed-ups of and is a very impressive sight. Crazy got his new best tapping FC, a rare sight from him, with an FC of Sky Fracture Underchart, which is still no pushover and very much worth the watch. Lean got a first ever with Dr. Finkelfracken's Cure, a slide cording nightmare I'm surprised he hasn't gotten sooner. Edu got the second ever FC of What Full Effort Sounds Like, another one on the board for his push for full series. Kira gave us a tech FC of Effidox, a notorious chart that includes the infamous robotic build-up. Tex finally claimed his Penger FC, done with only 378 ghosts, which is ridiculously low for this song. Dreamer FC'd Synthesized by Exile Lord, a long un-FC'd song requiring the use of 2 guitars at once to hit the full chart, an unusual yet still impressive first ever. And Entropy makes a return to the scene with an FC of Archwix Trial B from Megalodon at 120% speed, one that he did on keyboard too. And now let's dive straight into our montages and mini-tages for the month. First we have Bender GH, as mentioned before, who on top of the crazy shit from earlier, he gave us 2 strumming mini-tages, with some blisteringly fast short-form strumming accomplishments in here, almost to the level of what Ania uploads. Bingus finally gave us Bingutage 4, a 12-minute montage packed to the brim with really cool clips that you should definitely watch. Goulart dropped a Yarg montage, which is full of fun tappy clips as well as a bunch of drum section FCs, something we definitely do not see enough of and I would love to see more of. Zappydash finally dropped Clip Dump 7, showing us again why he is one of the more underrated players in the scene with a ton of insane clips. And B6 gave us 3 mid clips, which is correct for the 3 clips part, but they're definitely not mid. In fact, they're pretty fucking nuts. And that about just wraps us up for the main accomplishments. We'll be right back after the break for the full albums. Starting with an FC of As I Am by Dream Theater at 120% speed. I got that wrong. Typical low ghost fare with an FC of Fuck. I knew that one was going to trip me up. Sorry, MTN. Ryansburg got an F. Fuck. I almost made it right to the end. I'm back doing this segment again for the time being because Miscellany had to go make some cheese or something. I don't know what French people do. Anyways, we had a pretty big month for full albums, aided by the release of Post-Hardcore Hero, a CSC setlist with a ton of full albums included, all of which were FC'd very quickly. In fact, the full setlist was taken down by the community in less than 2 weeks. First, we have Viking claiming 2 EPs. His first was Ephemera by Ben Quad, a short one at just under 11 minutes long, but still packing in almost 3,500 notes. This one is a short consistency check that looks a lot of fun to play. The other one he claimed was Advent Anima by Adventurer and Animal Jam. This one is slightly longer at just under 15 minutes and has slightly more notes with 3,800. Miscellany also FC'd this one a couple days after Viking and said the forcing in the chart threw him off a bit, but beyond that this is another fun short EP to go for. Next we have So Serious getting 2 of the full albums from the pack. First he got Wolves in Business Suits by Properties of Nature, another consistency check, albeit with some tricky text strumming sprinkled throughout. This one clocks in at 29 minutes with almost 8,000 notes. The other one he got was Oxsend by Gigaball, one of the hardest in the setlist. This one has 10,500 notes in 36 minutes, so a significant jump in note density, and is filled with jump scare sections, irregular forcing and tap note strumming, on top of requiring a fair bit of text strumming consistency. This album also has its hardest song as its closer, making sure you're locked in all the way until the end. And of course we have our main man, the researcher and full album titan Geo to take down the rest of the full albums in the pack, all done in less than 24 hours as well. His first was Stolas' self-titled, which he claims is the hardest one of the lot. This 47-minute long album has just over 15,000 notes and is packed with more text strumming and unconventional forcing to throw you off. Next was Conversation Piece by A Lot Like Birds, a much tamer 12,000 notes in 49 minutes, with the final song being by far the hardest. Gio was still able to sight read FC this. And to close out the setlist, he FC'd Tree of Tongue by Exotic Animal Petting Zoo, another very difficult one. This one has 14,000 notes in 46 minutes, so while it isn't as note dense as the hardest albums, it does contain what is arguably the hardest single song in the entire setlist, with The Great Explainer having a brutal solo. This whole album is filled with tricky solos and text strumming that are very easy to trip up on, but Gio smashed it out nonetheless. Of course, this wouldn't be a big full album month without Gio getting a ton of them, of which he had multiple more outside of the ones he took down for Post-Hardcore Hero. Starting off with one he got in the same 24-hour period as the past 3, with Retrograde by Dearest. This album is a shorter one at 23 minutes long, and is just over 4,000 notes, and is the first documented. Actually, in fact, all of these that Gio got are first documented. We move on to another Gent album with Silhouettes by Textures, another strum control test, as Gent music often is. This one has almost 13,000 notes across its 45-minute runtime, and is packed full of tricky rhythms, especially in the hardest songs, To Erase a Lifetime and Storm Warning. A much faster-paced album he FC'd was Evitas by Bodine Wirihana. Packing 9,000 notes into just 26 minutes, this was the last un-FC'd album from the Instrumental 2 setlist, with Fidelium being by far the hardest song. Next we have Downtown Battle Mountain 2 by Dance Gavin Dance to bring the remaining full albums from Zancharted 4 down to just 2. This 42-minute long album has almost 15,000 notes and is fairly fast-paced with some trickier drum sections to keep you on your toes. Now we have a bootleg album from System of a Down with Storage Memories, filled with B-sides, features, covers and the like. This album has 12,500 notes in 55 minutes and finishes off the community full setlist FC of Guitar Hero System of a Down, which I didn't actually know that was a thing. And lastly, for Gio's accomplishments, we have Point of View by Distant Dream. This one was a first ever from Club Mix 3, taking the un-FC'd chart count down to just 5 from that setlist. This 43-minute long album has a bunch of straight line strumming and tricky solos included in its 11,500 notes. And that's just what Gio did. We still have a few from other people. First we have Miscellany, who FC'd People Watching by 156 Silence. This album, with its creepy album cover, was a sight read FC and a first ever, with a bunch of tricky text strumming throughout its 46-minute runtime. Next we have a new face with Solo FCing Nerve Endings by Too Close to Touch. This is also a first documented, which is a cool thing to have your first long chart FC be, and has almost 11,000 notes in 42 minutes. While not super difficult, this album is still a consistency check with some fast strumming in the final song. Bradmaster also happened to get an FC of this album later in the month, bringing his all-time tally to 62. And finally, we have XD Hawken FCing American Beauty, American Psycho by Fall Out Boy, but done at 165% speed, the first time I've seen a full album sped up by this much. At this speed, the 8,500 notes go by in 39 minutes, with a ton of strum speed and chording consistency needed to pull off this feat. And that brings us to the end of my sections for the month. As always, I've been Matt JJ. Enjoy the rest of the video.
Hey everyone, Party Boy back to bring you another month of console accomplishments, so let's get into it. To start off the month, we have Blue Bro with a handful of accomplishments, starting off with On My Mind on Rock Band 4, a chart on the top 100 initially due to it being harder on the original version of the game, but now it's an easier chart overall. Paired in that same video was an FC of Devil's Boulevard on Rock Band 3, a song just outside the top 100, having a notable hard part in the breakdown. A few other accomplishments to pair with those as well, being 2112 on drums, a Voxtar FC of Seize the Day, and another drums FC of Insanity of the Atoms. That has a nasty drum solo as well. Great work as usual. Next up is 456 Productions, who got a solo accomplishment for this month, that being Book Mobile by 1st of October. Now, while this is a custom song, this was still done on a Rock Band engine. This song has a very tricky and very annoying solo towards the end, making it for a nice little FC. Nice work. Now on to GH Guy, who got a mix of accomplishments. To start off, they got an FC of Caught in a Mosh on bass, as well as FCing it on guitar, which was the last song they needed for their second full game FC of Rock Band 3 on guitar. Also on the topic of full game FCs, they got a FC of Roundabout on keys, which is the last song they needed for their full game FC on keys. They also got an FC of Tornado of the Souls, as well as I Ain't Superstitious, which is ranked 80 on the top 100 list of guitars FCs. This marks their 10th song that they've FC'd in the top 100 as well. Great work. Next in line, we have Sleeper Wave with some huge accomplishments this month. First off, getting an FC of Dream Genie, which also marks as a Rock Band Drums Full Series FC. They state this to be very significantly harder than Guitar Hero, so take that as you will. They also got a second ever FC of Trogdor on NTSC Xbox, as well as getting the first ever on hard. Both require some insane fuckery, needing to be paused at the correct time during the strumming, and then generating a huge calibration adjustment, which is just insane to even think about. Like, we just gotta ask, what isn't Sleeper Wave good at? Like, genuinely. These accomplishments are absolutely insane, and we can't wait to see more of it. Moving over to Parallax DG, who got some nasty Guitar Hero 1 FCs. Starting with Bark at the Moon, which also marks the last song that they needed for the full game FC. For a quick refresher, in GH1, hopos don't work quite right. As a result, the majority of players have to strum everything in Guitar Hero 1. Now, for as Bark at the Moon, it has a pretty fast solo considering how tight the engine already is for Guitar Hero 1, and having to strum everything is a nightmare. They also FC'd one of the secret songs from Guitar Hero 1, that being Triplette. This song is arguably marked in close to difficulty as Bark at the Moon, that also has a fast and tricky solo. So, nice work overall. On to our newest PIM member, Kira, with a single but outstanding accomplishment. They got a first ever FC of Aesthetics of Hate on NTSC Rock Band 1. Another refresher for those who might not know, up until Rock Band 3, the games had a strum limit, making strum-heavy songs very hard, in which this song is filled with lots of fast strumming. Not to mention the song is over 7 minutes long. What an insane accomplishment, and we can't wait to see more. Flying over to Nuke Issa, who got a pair of accomplishments this month. That being a one-man band FC of Hangar 18 on Expert Plus. A banger of a song with some notable shreddy parts throughout the song. Pair that with a sick drums chart and bass and vocals, that's a very nice one-man band FC. Alongside that, they got a Pro Keys FC of Antibodies. This is another one of those accomplishments where you really have to watch the full video to see how nasty this is. A short but great month from Nukissa. Switching to Zach Pild, who got a single accomplishment this month as well, that being Rainbow the Dark on Rock Band 3. This song packs some notable solos, but more specifically being Solo B, requiring some very tricky timing between the strums and hopos. Zach has also stated that this took well over a year for him to FC. Phenomenal work, man. Nearing the end of our accomplishments for this month, we got Mateus with quite a few accomplishments, so let's speed round this a little bit. They got 13, a song with a nasty tappy solo, Red Devil, a shreddy one-handed song, Another Step, another song with a nasty tappy solo, Turn Around, a banger of a song from Bumblefoot, and lastly, Dyer's Eve on Guitar Hero Metallica. Nice work. For the roundabout of the month are team accomplishments from Team Zephyr. This will also be a bit of a speed round, so let's get into it. First, with Dead Black, Dream Genie and Endurance Nightmare, Day of Mourning, Visions, known for its brutal strumming, What a Horrible Night to Have a Curse, and lastly, 13, as stated previously with its nasty tapping solo. Incredible round of accomplishments this month from Team Zephyr as usual. That wraps up the accomplishments for this month. This is Party Boy, off to crash another party.